When you discover what's real, life just becomes more interesting. Your dear Araknie here has not lost his rocker. It's a phrase that perfectly fits the messages brought forward in Mystic Arc. Some of you may know this game as one that once was advertised and localized as 7 Saga 2 before being cancelled because of the advent of the new generations of consoles. Thankfully that didn't happen, because it has only very few good things to share with that shitstain. If that game is not on this channel, it's a real indictment. And Dual Orb 2 is here. You can consider this game a second try, a finally successful one at making a game about the 7 parable structure. But enough about trash, we're talking about a real masterpiece here. Oh yeah, this is the good stuff, a real RPG in certain ways. You have a fair bit of exploration and choice at display. Like I started saying earlier, Mystic Arc is a game about morals and lessons, and 7 of them to be exact. The bigger story involves your character. You can choose between Rimmer and Felice being taken from their world, then end up in an island with various structures on it, including a main mansion. There's just a little problem. You're a wooden figurine. Even if a mysterious force that calls herself a goddess revives you and allows you to collect the other ones around you in the same room. And that's how you manage to get 7 characters. From here on out you'll travel to different places, and they're all a little connected to the larger team by the end of it. The first place you'll go by is what I call the pirate world. But as you notice, there are ships, but no water. Well, something is clearly wrong at first glance. Also, these people are at war, but they have forgotten why. Well, you can guess what the moral of this story is. Moving on, you get to the fruit world. People have to move from place to place because they can eat them. Also, they rot. Well, yes, they live in gigantic fruits. They build entire cities in them, but they are gluttons and ruin them. So the water stopped arriving in the plains. I wonder why. When you get in Toy World, you get to solve a classic story. Children being protected by an adult from a chimera. It's something that has been heavily referenced. Really an ancient tale. You can come to your own conclusions, but the message and the reason for why this is happening is the first major hint toward your main nemesis. It's a story about humanity after all. In Machine World, you get a place divided by 3. In one you get no color, but it has music. Another has color but no music, and the last one has both. Strange mechanisms are all around this place, and I will tell you that everything is happening because of greed. Absolute power removes any joy from our world after all. In the world of the wind, people take for granted always having energy for their windmills. Until disaster strikes, the air stops and they start having difficulty to breathe. Even if there is no real time, you kinda feel the urgency this time around. Not a bad idea, gives that little oomph. Also here the game starts getting harder from this point forward, so story and gameplay go hand in hand. After this, there's the only place that I didn't like in this game, the World of Darkness. This place is a neat idea because it's more puzzle heavy and less battle, since they are all fixed, but it's really short. The other worlds last you around 5 hours each, while this is really a little over an hour at best, because most puzzles are really easy and you'll have difficulty getting stuck. In this game there are many of those, by the way, but I make sure to give you at least one hint every time you encounter a new one. Sometimes more. But yeah, I wanted the structure to be exactly like the others while being just a big puzzle world with fixed battles instead. Would have been amazing, but it feels like they didn't know how to do that and instead skimped on the scope of this place. I understand why they did it, it's for story reasons, but I didn't like it. Really feels out of place, especially since the next location has 4 dungeons, and that is the Fairy Tale world. This is the ultimate place for morals and classic storytelling. For progressing forward, and it happens 2 times, they will even require you to travel to other worlds. You'll encounter characters from all well-known tales of old and have to solve their problems. If you know these stories, it will come naturally to you. I knew them all because I read these stories over and over as a child, and have them basically ingrained them in my brain forever. It's a really fantastic place to have the final world before the final dungeon. All those places are connected to the island. Basically, you have to unlock the functionality of one object there to be able to enter them. Here comes into play one of the two major systems of Mystic Arc. Because yes, this is an RPG, but also you get many sections that are very reminiscent of computer point-and-click titles, ones that used to be called adventures. It's very in-depth and requires you to explore a whole lot, and that's why many things have an interaction and a response. When that happens, you get sent into a sub-menu by using the examine prompt. Here you can get even more options for examination, a prompt to use an item, and one to use one of the titular arcs. In the first case, you get stuff that is specific to that interaction, text and selections that you won't find anywhere else each time. That's already a lot of effort. Sometimes you need to combine that with the use of an item, and you'll get a selection of what you have in your inventory. Considering that you can examine everything you have, a real rare feature in the 16-bit era, you can really investigate by yourself what is gonna be useful to your case, and if you possess it. The arc contains an element or an action that is very specifically used to solve a problem. Like you can't read a book because it's written in a specific language, so you use the wisdom arc. Or you can't move something because it's stuck and you solve that problem by using the power arc. Stuff like that. All 7 will have their use at least once, but mostly multiple times. There are a lot of optional interactions, some will give you extra story, others will net a unique item. It's really worthwhile to explore. After that we have the RPG systems of the title. Let's skip the usual descriptions and go for what's unique to Mystic Arc. First of all, we get the one good thing they brought back from the 7th saga. The radar. The thing basically makes it so the game doesn't really have random battles. You can always see where the enemies are in the form of the white squares, and the blue one in the middle is you. So if you move around a place and feel like you are much stronger than the enemies and don't want to overlevel, you don't need to get into a battle and then escape each time. You can just move around until you avoid them and keep going forward to your objective. This is a fantastic system that allows you to really be flexible with how many battles you wanna have and when. Other new minutiae is the possibility to exchange items without losing a turn between all 7 characters, even if you have only 3 maximum in battle. That's massive, since everybody gets 4 pages of inventory you can stock on some very useful items and get access to them whenever you want. Another feature is that everyone gets experience points. The other 4 that are sitting on the bench get only 2/3 of it since they don't battle, and that's still more than enough to get them up to speed to the final one. These 2 features are something I don't see in some RPGs today. Especially the first one is really rare. You gotta do lots of menu management outside of battle otherwise in basically every RPG from the east or the west to this day. Glad I could do this in battle, saved me quite a few times when the last third of the game ramps it up. Also, when you have a full party of 3 at the start of every turn, you can select who to attack with first. That's very useful because outside of magic, each character comes with their own set of moves. Also at the beginning you can select between Rimmer and Felis, the male and female heroes respectively. This is not just a gender choice, they both come with their own gameplay differences. First of all, Rimmer is an all-rounder, he gets medium stats on every single one. He also gets offensive and status affecting spells. Felis gets good stats on power and guard, but really good ones regarding magic. This makes her a much more interesting character, because she gets offensive magic, status magic, and healing magic, and pretty powerful ones to boot. And that's important because of a simple fact. A lot of people complain while using Rimmer because they have to call another healer called Mazia, and she's very weak, prone to dying. Well, just use Felis then. I always picked her ever since my second playthrough of this game back in 2012. After that you can get a very good tank in the shape of Lux, and a very good speedy character with some interesting moves and magic in the terms of Kamiho. With these 3 in your party, just get them over level 30 before you enter the fairy tale world and you'll be set from there on out. There's not much grinding to do if you don't use Meisia. The game is flexible that way. It's a game of low levels and low numbers, and you know that I love that too. Another unique feature is something I never seen before or since. Aren't you curious now? Is the fact that not only a good speed stat allows you to avoid physical hits, but a good magic stat allows you to avoid spells entirely. They operate on the same basis, and for me that's absolutely incredible and fantastic. I love that with a good number in that department I can avoid even group attacks of the magical kind. This is a unique feature of this Enix title as far as I know. If you have knowledge of other games doing that, feel free to tell me. I'm curious about it. The dungeon design also has to be praised because it's not just a linear corridor or a labyrinth. They got puzzles and logic to its explorations, and different types of both of them very often. If you follow this channel closely, you know that in RPGs I want dungeons that are always changing rules and have something interesting to figure out. And here they keep this going from start to finish. It's just my type. Alright, let's get technical. I love to get technical. Visually, this game has a very strong sense of style and identity in an unmistakable way. They did a fantastic choice with the battles having the specific and unique visuals that will certainly make the setting stand out from anything else on the platform. Also, the choice of every world having its own color palette while maintaining the same art style is surprising. When getting into a race, they look so visually different they make you think they change style, but they really don't. It shows they were incredibly inspired when making this game because they just do one style in an incredibly wide range. After all I described the words earlier, you know how wildly different they can get. Musically is a masterpiece of epic proportions, especially considering it's all made by a single composer. Listen closely to what I'm about to say. Every music track makes heavy use of samples, and such high quality music takes a lot of space, usually. Plus they are really long loops, with the shortest one being 1 minute and a half, while the longest ones go well over 2 minutes and a half before starting again. And what they did in that regard is having a breakdown that allows the loop to feel like some of the most natural you've ever heard. With such a long amount of time they could afford that. And all of that on a standard 4MB cartridge. The maximum standard one for the Super Famicom is 6MB. So they didn't even push it to the limit. They must have had amazing compression technology, that's for sure. I need to make you understand the scope of this soundtrack. You get a different overworld music each time. There's 5 different normal battle themes: overworld battle, dungeon battle, cave battle, city battle, and structure battle. Plus you get 4 boss melodies: mini boss, dungeon boss, world boss, and final boss. All 3 categories are the longest tracks you get in this game, and you'll have them in full only rarely, so they never get gritty nor boring. What can I say about Mystic Arc? Well, it certainly deserves a 9 out of 10 in my book. Yeah, if only the World of Darkness had the same thought and feeling of adventure of the other 6, this would have been one of my favorites. A game can be magnificent, but I can't criticize a major part of its gameplay if I want to give it a 10, just arrives short of entering my pantheon. If you wanna see me play the games that I will review plus some extra stuff, catch me on Twitch at Araknie Retro. It's my natural habitat, you see? Until next time, ciao ciao!